Hey everybody, I'm Matt,
And I'm Katie.
and this is WP Product Talk, and today we are talking about refunds and renewals.
So,
This is WP Product Talk, a place where every week we bring you insights, product marketing, business management and growth, customer experience, product development, and more. It's your go-to podcast for WordPress product owners by WordPress product owners. And now, enjoy the show. Alrighty. Refunds and renewals. This honestly was kicked off by a tweet from Katie. I'm trying to bring that up right now. I want to share the screen, but can you tell us a little bit about uh, this one subject?
So the thing that triggered the discussion was a big mess up on my side at Barn 2, where we get Ellipsis to do a big pricing analysis for us a couple of times a year to look at conversion rates and whether to change our prices and profitability. And as part of that, they noticed that while refunds for new sales had gone up about 22%, which is how much new sales had gone up. So that's normal. You'd expect that. The refunds on our renewals were up 73%. And we were like, what? Why would there be such a sudden surge in renewal payment refunds? And so I tweeted it saying, has anyone else noticed this? Is there a wider industry trend? Turns out, no, it's not. It's just that our email was broken and broke in November 5 months ago. And we didn't realize that our pre-renewal emails were not going to our customers. So, of course, they were getting their "you have been renewed" email, and some of them wanted a refund because they didn't mean to renew. So that explained it. But it was interesting how much response we got to the tweet and follow-up
Absolutely.
ones, and people were really interested in discussing it as a topic, weren't they, Matt?
Yeah, absolutely. It was a really interesting subject. Everybody was coming at it from a little bit different perspectives and all speaking to this nuanced customer experience that most of our customers, any of our products, anybody watching now tends to have an auto renewal annual license type of business for the most part. And so I think the way that everyone was chiming in is definitely relevant to the conversation. Email deliverability, I feel like, came up pretty often,
The
which is
obvious solution.
yeah, which is a good one that we should touch on for sure. This one was interesting. Coming from the other side, I've had things change for me, and after a year, I've forgotten about services I had set up for renewal. This is more from the customer perspective. It caused me to lose money and struggle more than I needed. We forget sometimes. Yep. I thought that was a good customer perspective. That for sure is where some refunds come from. And any chance you've tested to see if your emails, there we go again, are they landing in spam? um, this is a good one from Ron. Companies that build products for WordPress users are now feeling the sting from all the recent Google updates that crushed thousands of sites. Theme builders will have something similar. Nothing to do with you guys. It's trickle down impact. And truthfully, that's not the truth at the end of the day, right? Um,
That's not what I'm finding statistically, and renewals are up something like 10% overall when you take off all those refunds that we
yeah,
did, and sales are up for us as well. So I don't think it's that bad, and we're up actually after the Google updates. Although I realise a lot of people aren't, so a lot of analysis is going on to figure what we can all learn from the changes.
yeah. I mean, there's lots of trends. You and I were chatting previously about the fact that a lot of shops are a bit down since the COVID, of course. During COVID, everyone was trying to do more online than previously, and that gave everybody a boost. But it's been a good few years now, and we all should be kind of evening out since that time and setting targets based on 2023 numbers and not 2020 or 2021 numbers anymore. But still, it how that impacts renewals is an interesting question. Do you
Yeah,
feel
I
like you
think
are?
really people were looking because I had asked a question, why are our refunds on renewals up? People were looking for explanations, and actually our renewal refunds are not up. It's just that they weren't notified and it was a screw up. So
Yep.
I think
Yep.
that's why people came up with those negatives. They were looking for explanations.
Absolutely. I mean, we could posit the question, why does it seem like sales in WordPress products are down for everybody? Like
Mm.
it's like data that the internet made up. Like, and people would be like, oh, because WordPress is sinking and nobody's using WordPress anymore, or oh, because customers don't want these old settings-based plugins anymore. They want like powerful page builders and blah blah blah. But none of those things are necessarily true. It's just the way that the question is worded that makes people dig for problems, more or less. We're going a little bit off script on the way that we typically do our product talk, but I think it's a broader subject that I'm hoping that we can dig into a bit more. I will say on the subject of refunds and renewals, let's go ahead and get on script. And what would you say from your perspective, Katie? Why is this subject in general so important for WordPress product businesses?
Well, everybody's seen data that it's cheaper to keep an existing customer than to acquire a new customer. And so we need to be hanging on to all of our customers for as long as possible. And renewals, well, the first step to that is you don't want them to get a refund after that initial purchase within your original refund window. And then subsequently you want them to keep renewing for as long as possible, for as long as they still have a WordPress website with a need for your plugin. You want them to be enjoying your plugin, seeing ongoing value in renewing it. And so there's lots and lots of different strands to that, which we can discuss. And of course, after the renewal, you don't want them to ask for a refund. You want them to be pleased that they renewed, which I would say means you haven't tricked them into renewing, as we accidentally did, but some companies do on purpose, and things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I've definitely heard folks say, what if we like rigged the cancel button on our account area where it's hard to cancel and they had to reach out to us? I was like, that would be terrible. It might work. It might work in terms of revenue, but it would
Mm.
definitely not be a customer oriented perspective. Yeah, I agree with you 100%. Like in terms of like the importance of refunds and renewals, what I've seen both with GiveWP in particular, and what I've seen now overseeing the customer experience for all the Stellar brands, is that renewals tend to be somewhere upward of almost 70% of all revenue for brands sometimes, depending on how long they've been in the business, of course. But as soon as you have 2 or 3 or 4 years of renewals, it becomes very significant. Now, I have definitely heard folks talk about leaky bucket syndrome as well, which is essentially where your churn rate, the rate at which you're losing those renewals, is larger than your new sales acquisition numbers. That means you're not able to fill the bucket as fast as they're going out the other end. So having your renewals be too significant of a revenue driver ends up being problematic too. The answer to that one should be that you drive more new sales rather than reduce your renewals. But they renewals end up being a major aspect of a healthy and thriving business. In the SaaS industry, they're monthly oriented. And so the evaluation of your business is often evaluated based on your MRR. For WordPress businesses, it's based mostly on your ARR, your annual recurring revenue. I'm hoping that more and more WordPress shops are going to talk about the lifetime value of their customers. If your price point is less than $100 and you're expecting 3 years of renewals, then you can say that that customer has a $300 lifetime value roughly. But if you can increase your renewals, then all of a sudden that one customer is worth $400. So those types of metrics and ways of looking at the business are really significant. Um, the other one I really want to talk about today is also refunds and how we manage refunds and deal with refunds and look at refunds. What's your take, Katie, on the significance of, let's say, not just refunds, but like the refund experience? What's your take on how important is that?
Across the board or just renewals?
Uh, Refunds across the board. Let's go across the board.
Yeah, we've always had a no questions asked 30-day return policy, and
Hmm.
actually that's not quite true because we do generally ask a question.
Hmm.
If they've provided really concrete information and it's very clear that our product doesn't meet their needs, then we will just refund them. But if they've just said, I'd like a refund, please, or something, which happens every day, then we do have some set wording about, oh, yes, you're perfectly happy to give you, I'm happy to give you a refund, but I wonder if I can help you first. Would you like to reply with details of the issue you're experiencing? And we'd be really pleased to help you out or give you a refund if we can't. So we say it's no questions asked, and actually we do ask a question. And I haven't got data on how many refunds we reduce from that, but I hope that we do. So I think some people suggest to me sometimes putting like a refund button in our account area, and I've always pushed back on that because we don't get that relationship with the customer, and maybe that's making it a bit too easy. Like some of our products particularly are quite complicated in
Mm.
how you use them for different use cases, and so we would really like the opportunity. It's quite likely our product is what they were hoping for, but they haven't quite figured out how to use it for their use case. So
Yep.
I like that we can have that personal contact and have one attempt to try and keep them.
Yep. Absolutely. I've said that to my team regularly is 30-day refunds, one question asked. That's the way I typically say it. A lot of folks will say no questions asked, but I'm like, yeah, we got one question. And we just want to know if we can help, or like, why do you need a refund? Um, and that, I think that's where the big opportunity is that every part of the customer journey is important, even when the customer journey is coming to an end. We need to be really professional about the way that happens. And part of being professional about refunds is understanding why they're happening. Um, yeah, we're jumping a little bit into story time, but I'll just say that the refund, the importance of refunds in my mind, is that there's a ton of insight in refunds. I think we can learn a lot about our products if we are really trying to take advantage of the refund experience and make the most out of it as much as possible. I think a lot of folks in the WordPress space in particular, they do see the kind of the 30-day no questions asked kind of approach. If anybody asks for a refund, just issue it and move on, because you're not going to win them back. I sympathize with that. You also only have so much time in the day, and often you're a very strapped team, or like maybe you're a solopreneur and you're like, man, I got to go and ship a new thing right now. I don't want to be issuing refunds right now. But I kind of say, if you want to make sure that you're shipping the right thing, then you should also take a heed to what your refund folks are saying and why they're leaving. So I think refunds are really important, is all I'm trying to say. So let's jump into some examples. Let's jump into story time. We started off with your story time in terms of this tweet and what was going on. What I actually wanted to hear, if there were other things that you learned along the way in digging into all of this stuff, if there were other side explorations or anything that you learned about the renewals or the refunds along the way.
Well, it was the thing that alerted us to this was part of a wider analysis, which included our pricing, like I said, and also things like refund rates. And um, we about probably 2 years ago, we discovered that our renewals were going down. And it wasn't so much refunds, just renewals generally were going down, and we weren't sure why. And when we did this analysis last week, we discovered that actually that trend stopped last year sometime, and we just hadn't done the work to find out that renewals are okay again. And when we delved into it more, we discovered that there are time-based cohorts in the past which renew at different rates.
Hmm.
And basically, and you probably guess where I'm going, the pandemic people are renewing worse.
Hmm.
And we had a big increase in sales during the pandemic, largely because of restaurants needing to quickly start selling online because they weren't allowed to in person anymore. So we had massive increases in sales. And it turns out that a lot of those customers are less likely to renew than all other ones before and since. So our 2020 and 2021 cohorts have less likely to renew, and not just after the year one renewal. They're less likely to renew after, if they renewed at year one, they're less likely to continue into year two, and so on. So those cohorts are bad ones basically, and
Mm,
always will be. But they're then being replaced by subsequent years who are renewing at the original rate. So I think when you look at your data, you can't just say, our renewal rate is this. Even if you break it down by year, like renewal rates 50% in year one and 30 in year two and 15 in year three, or whatever you've got, you actually need to go even more into that, and per product too. And another trend we noticed with our renewals was that if we had been neglecting a product and not regularly adding new features, then as you might expect, renewal rates are lower. And
mm,
obviously, I'd always suspected this, it's common sense, but we now have data to show that. So
yeah,
we had a product that didn't have much going on about 2 years ago, and renewals went down. And then we added a big kind of table builder because it was our Post Table Pro plugin, where you could generate a table visually without using shortcodes. And that was quite a big new feature. And then renewals started going up after we added a new feature. And we've
yeah,
seen that with some of our other products as well. So I think that's a reason to keep developing your product and adding new features. In fact, there's been a couple of interesting conversations on Twitter with Derek Ashauer, who has shared, I think yesterday, he mentioned that one of his long-standing customers for his Sunshine Photo Cart plugin didn't want to renew because it was such a stable plugin. And I said, well, aren't you adding new features? And he said, well, she doesn't want them. But in general, I think you do need to keep winning them over with new features. And you can try and scare them about security, can't you? But I'd rather win them with new features than threaten them that your site's going to get hacked.
absolutely, absolutely, and that just also like shakes their confidence in the whole WordPress ecosystem too.
Mm.
Honestly, this is not the same tweet, but this is related to. This is Derek who just responded today to our post about this episode. I've had a 100% success rate with the following regarding refunds on renewals. My official policy is no refunds on renewals, but I can refund you $89 of the 99 to cover the payment. That's an interesting approach. Have you ever considered that yourself, or what's your take on his approach here?
I must admit, I just accept the loss on the payment gateway fees for refunds and just
Yeah,
accept it's part of the cost of doing business.
yep,
I kind of see that, but personally, I don't like to have what I might see as a defensive policy on something like renewals. If it doesn't meet their needs, if they're not using it anymore, if they just were on holiday or whatever, there's lots of reasons why they saw the renewal email and didn't cancel. And I don't think it's really fair to keep some of their money when it was a whole year ago that they bought your product.
hmm
Um, Even with the email, I think it's fair enough.
yeah. I agree with you. The nuances that we have with annual renewals, I think, is different than monthly renewals for sure. And like life is different a year from now. It's a totally different mentality. Yeah, nice. Mark is agreeing with us. Got to take the loss. It's just a cog, the cost of goods sold, essentially. Goods sold and goods refunded, I guess. Well, that's awesome. I really appreciate hearing some more insights into your research and exploration there. I think it's so healthy and great for folks to be diligent about figuring those things out. I agree with you 100% in terms of like you'll have customer segments that renew at different rates. You'll have individual products that renew at different rates, and all that is worth looking into. I've recommended a few times to some folks who have like a suite of products, like even on the Iconic side, we've talked a few times. Iconic WP is a frenemy of Barn 2. And we've talked a few times about a couple of our WooCommerce extensions that don't get a lot of features and don't have great renewals. We've thought about like, why don't we just make it a free plugin on .org, continue to have it available and useful, and we'll continue to support it on the .org forums. It would serve a different purpose than revenue because it might not be the best tool for renewals and things like that. It might not be the best representation of the brand. There's lots of different ways to approach those things. So, um, the thing I would love to share about in our personal experience story time part is the refund reasons stuff. That's something I've been talking about here and there and post status a little bit and online. And I told Katie that I've got a article that I've been wanting to publish on this for forever. And so whenever that gets published, I'll stick this episode in there too. But essentially, we have worked pretty hard this last calendar year on trying to optimize our refund process as much as possible. So we'll have folks request refunds in a lot of different ways, and very often they'll request them in the context of an existing support ticket. Um, and but we have, for pretty much all the brands, we have a dedicated account services team and a customer success team as well. And the account services team is going to issue those refunds for the most part. um, but the customer success team, they're monitoring the refunds for insights, because part of their whole objective and goal is to learn about the product from the customer and to elevate the feedback to the product team, so that product roadmaps can be informed by customer feedback as much as possible. So there's this real strong handshake between technical support that gets the refund request and account services that's going to issue the refund, and customer success that's going to process the insights in the refund to elevate it to the product team. That sounds complicated, or maybe too many moving parts. But on the bottom line is basically just having a workflow in which you ask that one question, and that you have a way in which you log that feedback, and I would say a way in which you process that log of feedback. So what we do is when somebody says, "Hey, I really need a refund on this," we say no problem, and we send them to a form on our website that says this is where you request your refund. And yes, it's a little bit of a manual effort, but in that form, it asks them, why do you need this refund? And we give them the ability to choose from a list and to add comments as well. And 9 times out of 10, they're providing us really actionable information just by filling out that form, and we don't have to ask that one question. But if somehow or another they get to account services without going through the form, then we do ask that follow-up question when they request the refund. And just like you, Katie, it's really important that we say on the outset, absolutely, we can issue you that refund, no problem. Can I first ask what is the cause of this refund request, or what brought you to this point, or is there any way that we can help you at all? Um, we want them to know right out of the gate that we're not asking the question in order to prevent the refund. The refund is always in the realm of possibility, but it would help us a ton if we understood what was going on. The form, though, itself, being really diligent about getting them to go through the form, and say what the purpose of the refund is, and to even highlight, like, you know what, support really screwed up, and this happened on the support side. Like, that's really important feedback for us. Or I really needed to do this product, and now it's not working, and blah blah blah. Or sometimes the ones that I like the least are when they said, I have to shut down my business, and I'm going out of business. I have to shut my website down, and that happens a lot more often than you think, and it's no fun. Or they say, we're leaving WordPress. WordPress is too complicated and too busy and too many security issues, and we're just going to start using Squarespace or whatever, and that sucks too. So whatever the reason might be, we try to get those, and we log them over time, and we process how what kind of insights we get. A lot of the things that you'll see GiveWP building right now, like you'll see us making a lot of noise about event fundraising on GiveWP. That's because we had a lot of refund requests of people saying we're trying to run events and do donations, and we can't do it as effectively as we like with Give. So we lost customers because we didn't have that feature set. And so now we're working on it, and that's going to hopefully ideally prevent those renewals from being refunded. Um, yeah, that's been really, really excellent work. And I was telling Katie beforehand that we have all these targets internally at Stellar where we're tracking against new sales targets monthly and renewal targets monthly, and refund rates monthly. And since we've implemented really strong email reminders across all the brands, we really beat up the wording of those email reminders really carefully about the renewals, and also an email that gets triggered when they cancel their subscription. We really worked on that one really hard as well. Um, and as soon as we started really implementing the feedback form for all the refund reasons, we've seen a lot of improvement, a lot more insight, and we've been able to reduce a lot of refunds as well. And so we're exceeding our targets on our refunds across all the Stellar brands right now, which has made me super happy. So.
So when somebody fills in a reason on the refund form, which you can help with, and like they think the product doesn't do something when it does, what do you do? Because that's less of a conversation than a support ticket.
Yep. If they're giving us actionable insight in that form, in that submission, we just issue the refund immediately. They've given us what we need. We were like, okay, we hear you. Here's your refund. It's going to be in your account in 3 to 5 days. And that's it.
Why? If you're trying to reduce refunds.
If they say, well, the part where we try to reduce refund, honestly, I'm not like our intention isn't necessarily to reduce refunds. It's not like that we're actively trying to stop it. Um, we do try to stop it when in the context of a support ticket. They're getting support in one way or another, and they're like sometimes they come in hot and they're like, if this doesn't get fixed right away, I'm going to get a refund. Our support agents will say, we absolutely can issue that refund, but we also absolutely can fix this problem for you. And so we work first on fixing the problem. So we are proactive about it in the context. But as soon as they have essentially said, no, I need a refund, we're not sending them to that form until it's like, no, they're gonna get a refund. Any preventative things we do is before we send them to the form.
Yeah,
um, yeah. Does that make sense?
it does. Yeah. I still feel it's like a friction point for the customer because they've already told you what the problem was and you're making them fill in a form.
Yeah.
So I
Yep.
don't know. I
Yep.
feel they would get annoyed at a time you'd want them to be a bit less annoyed.
I honestly have not had one single person express annoyance at filling out the form. It's not a long, tedious form.
Mm,
It's name and email address, and why do you need this refund?
yeah.
Optional comments, and um, and that's it. And they get responded back to same day every single time. So we have not got negative feedback about the refund form at all. And I was concerned about that too, but I really felt like the reasons the and it's not only just the reasons, it's like the consistent every single refund needs to have a refund reason attached to it in one way or another, because you can't just say, well, we kind of think that we need event fundraising because we get some refunds because of that. No, we need to have it in terms of like, no, we're asking every single person, and we know that like 15% of the refunds on give renewals are because we're missing this feature. Like being able to say it with authority is a really big deal. Everyone wants to be able to influence the product roadmap in one way or another, and if CX can do that with data, then it just is more compelling. So
Yeah. And Mark likes that concept. He says, I feel like the form is a nice way for them to fully consent to the refund.
yeah,
They know it's going to happen.
yeah.
So, Matt, have you measured a decrease in renewals as a result of the form?
I don't think there is a decrease in renewals. I don't see the form being super connected to renewals necessarily.
Sorry, I should have said refunds. I just said the wrong word. Sorry.
Oh,
Because
a
by
decrease in
adding an
refunds.
extra step, are some of
Uh-huh.
them not bothering?
It's a good question. I don't know if I have seen any data on like we sent them to the form and they didn't fill it out. That's a good question, actually. I have a feeling that percentage of people is not particularly high. Because, like I said, we tend to not send them to the form until it's really clear that they are like, no, I
Yeah,
really need a refund.
makes sense.
Um, I but I do we do definitely talk regularly about how our account services team and technical support teams are helping to reduce refunds as much as possible. I will say that across Stellar as a whole, we're aiming at 7% of revenue refunds or less. And right now, every single brand is less than 7%. And that's been super exciting for us. So,
Mm,
because in the past, it was across all the brands, it wasn't always that case.
yeah.
So I feel like that's a healthy refund rate to be working against.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure ours is higher than that, particularly for our newer products, because new products often have higher refund rates, and then it goes
Mhm.
down after you've added more features, ironed out bugs. So I'm sure ours is significantly higher than what you're
Yeah,
quoting.
actually, no, that's a good point. We have some newer products that are tucked into some of the bigger brands. We have like Member Dash, for example, is on the Learn Dash brand.
Mm,
Learn Dash as a whole is exceeding that target, but I think Member Dash is a little bit higher by itself. It's a
yeah.
newer product. So, yeah, that makes sense.
Makes
For
sense.
sure.
So we've got a couple more comments on the idea of a refund form. A follow up from Mark suggesting to add a disclaimer like you will no longer receive updates, etc. So
Yeah.
that makes it really clear on that refund form the consequences of the refund. Also, well, with our particular licensing system, if you get a refund, it breaks the plugin because effectively you've never paid for it. If you get a renewal refund, it doesn't break the plugin. But if you initial purchase and then get a refund, you've never paid us a penny effectively. So we remove functionality. So it is important that they know the consequences of what they're asking. So I think Mark's suggestion is good.
Is that
And
a clarifying question? Is that SaaS functionality that is disabled, or is that like
the
built
plugin,
in
it
the
just
plugin? Hmm.
yeah, so like when you buy the plugin, you might have to enter your license key in order for it to work on the front end.
Hmm.
And similarly, that's what we're revoking after that refund for the initial purchase.
I don't think that's super common in WordPress. Have you got pushback from that much?
Not really. I think like Freemius does it. It's not default in EDD, and we had to customize it in order to do that.
Yeah.
But I think it's really important because otherwise people can just trick you and ask for a refund and keep using it.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
even beyond your renewal date, they can use it forever if it keeps working. So I think if they've never paid, it's fair enough and it fits within GPL and all of that.
It does. It does for sure.
Mm.
It's not particularly what many folks would say is the WordPress way. Folks often are like, it's open source code and they can do whatever they want with it. And yeah, but
And they can remove our code, which will disable the functionality
they
after the
can.
refund as well, and
Yep.
that's
Yep.
fine.
Our customer success team, when they see a refund request and it's like, I don't use it anymore, they go and they check the website and it's like, you are still using it.
Interesting.
Like, what's the real reason here?
Mm.
Nice. What does Zach say in here?
So Zack says we have a secondary form as well. We have a no
Mm,
questions asked refund policy. So we have an input field where feedback can be given, but it's not required. So that's a difference with Stella. And then we have a follow-up email asking why. So that's an additional step.
I
But it's after the refund, so it was no questions asked.
It's a follow-up question. I have to assume, and Zach can correct me later, but I have to assume he gets far fewer refund reason insights with that method. Because I did think about that, but like sending a follow-up email after a refund, for one, I just think the customer's already like gone. They don't care. They're not going to open that email. You're asking them to do additional effort after they're already appeased, basically. Um, like, I really think in the context of, yeah, poor Zach. I'm telling you, Zach, just let me know and I'll help you out with that refund process. So, um, I think asking them in the context of the refund, it's like, yeah, you want your money back? We can do that, no problem. Do me this one favor right now. I think that just changes it. It's understandable. Like they know that we're a business. They know that we need to run and operate. So I think it's not an unreasonable request.
And people do come back, so you do need to keep them on side. Like, they might try your competitors and end up back with your product because they realize that the competitors don't do the job either that they were looking.
Hmm.
And also, agencies particularly, they
Hmm.
might have had a refund because it wasn't what one particular client needed, but then they remember you and they come back if you have multiple products, of course, or the same one for other clients in the future. So you can't assume, oh, we've lost them, it doesn't matter. They are still customers that you need to look after.
Yep.
And even you don't want bad reviews, of course.
Yeah, exactly. Like, refunds can be used as leverage for negativity for sure. Um, some of the best insights I think you get from refund reasons is on your competitors, honestly. Finding out more about why people choose your competitors instead of you. If they're going to go to the effort to get a refund from you and take your plugin off of their website and install somebody else's stuff, like, that competitor's got something going on that's really interesting.
Mm.
I'll say, like, 3 years ago or so, we started getting some refunds on the Give side for a product we had never heard of called Give Butter. And Give Butter just yesterday announced that they just got a $50 million investment. So that they are now a really big, serious competitor that we had only just started hearing about a couple of years ago, and it was because of our refund reasons. They got on our radar already a while back, but they're a huge product now. And why folks choose them is was really interesting to us, and we started paying a lot closer attention to who they are and what they're doing, and trying to make sure we have as much parity with their feature set as we possibly can. And then, of course, like, really trying to highlight our open source advantages against a SaaS platform like they are, and the customization abilities you have when you own your own code compared to cookie cutter options that you have with SaaS platforms. So the refund reasons there changed the game a lot. So yeah, nice. Well, we are close to our time, so how about we move into best advice? Or do we have any more comments or anything? Let me
Yeah,
see.
we've got a comment from Zack. Yep, fast, low hassle refunds are an investment in your brand. So that's agreeing with what we were saying.
Yeah, they are. Um, nice. I love lots of comments today. It's awesome. Um, all right, best advice. So, Katie, I think you're up first. What is your best advice for anybody who is trying to tackle their refunds and renewals?
On the refund front, I would say treat refund funds as an opportunity to retain the customer, but only where that's realistic. Don't keep pushing, except when it's over, and make that easy, so that the customer gets what they're entitled to, the refund, and also is more likely to come back to you in the future. And on the renewal side, I'd say look at every stage of the customer journey. We haven't This could easily be a whole separate episode, which we should do actually.
Yeah, yeah,
But things like all the emails that they receive to so through the year to feel they've got an ongoing relationship with your brand, added value, what value can you add at different stages, so that when it's renewal time, they really think, oh, I want to be part of the Barn 2 club or whatever, and keep renewing because they feel like they're part of something. That could be so many different things, but think about it from start to finish so that they're more likely to renew because they genuinely want to.
absolutely. Love it. I will say on the refund part, focus on those reasons right away. Even when you're small and just starting out and you start getting refund reasons, folks are telling you what is wrong with your product. Folks are telling you why they choose somebody else. Log it, pay attention to it, circle back when you're developing your next roadmap. Make sure that you're addressing that feedback immediately. It's gold. Refund reasons are gold. On the renewal front, I always say renewal starts the day after first purchase. really focus on getting folks to get onboarded onto your product right away. I love if you haven't checked out Groundhog from Adrian Toby. It's a really cool product. He has a really powerful onboarding sequence when you purchase Groundhog for the first time. It's really well done. It's powered by his own product because it's a CRM, and he really makes sure that in that process that you are adopting the plugin correctly and getting it set up and starting to have success. Trying to really focus on making the product sticky as much as possible to the customer from day one is how you ensure that they're still going to be using it at day 366. So start right away with onboarding, and that will help your renewals a ton. And then um, pay attention to everything Katie says about renewals too, because all that data is super important. And paying attention to, you don't want to set unrealistic expectations. Like even within Stellar, nobody can compete with the iThemes solid WP renewal numbers. They've had customers for like 13 years now. And it's just the stickiest product ever. Like nobody wants to stop renewing on their security product, you know. So you can't really compare yourself to them, but find out what's realistic for you, and set good targets, and pay attention to all those customer touch points. So, well, this was a great conversation. Thanks so much, Katie. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks.
And I think you're hosting next week too, right? What's going on next week?
Oh, we haven't got show notes for today, so I can't remember. Oh, yes, it's Ronnie Burt, the head of Gravatar, and we'll be talking with our co-host Amber about how to bring your product beyond WordPress. Because Gravatar is far bigger than that. So I think that'll be really interesting, reaching new markets and everything.
I love it. That's awesome. Gravatar has gone over a really interesting phase recently, so that's awesome. Well, thanks so much, everybody. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Have a good week, and we will see you next time. Thanks so